What's up, you guys? We are back. I told you guys we'd be back to talk about part two of O.J. Simpson Made in America. Now, for those of you that are just tuning in, welcome, welcome, welcome. Part one we did earlier this week, so go back and check it out. Part two, I told you guys earlier today, part two got deep, right? Part two got very, very deep. So, first of all, I want to say before we get started, this is a trigger warning, trigger warning, because we will be discussing racial issues. We will be discussing domestic violence. So I just want to make sure that I am giving you guys a trigger warning if any of those things are going to upset you. Shout out to Faith Speaks Life for becoming a member. Although I feel like you were a member before, but if I'm wrong, but welcome, welcome, welcome. And again, if you've seen the documentary, then you guys know what I'm talking about. Part of why I thought this was such a really good documentary, and I'm really glad I'm revisiting it because it absolutely is refreshing my memory on a lot of stuff that I forgot. But I also think for anybody who was not around during the OJ time, actually, even if you were around, the OJ trial was, or this timeline was a really good example of how people can put stuff out and that forms your opinion based on what you already want to believe or don't believe, right? I remember certain things coming out about OJ and Nicole that weren't accurate. And I remember when the domestic violence accusations first came out, they really downplayed it. They really downplayed it. But after watching this documentary, and we're going to get to it in a minute. But when I remember the first time I saw the documentary, I was like, whoa, right? The other thing I told you guys was before watching the documentary, I didn't feel like OJ did it. Like, I honestly didn't feel like OJ did it. But I remember by the end of the documentary, I was like, oh, yeah, he did it. And if he didn't do it, he definitely was in on it and knows who did, right? But watching part two last night refreshed my memory on a lot of stuff and made me understand why I walked away feeling the way I felt. So let's get ready to jump into it, child. We got a lot of notes, okay? We have a lot of notes. So let's get into it. And it absolutely was a trial of my lifetime. Like, it trumps it trumps anything. Like, yeah, I can't think of a trial that trumps it. I can't. Even the current situation with Donald Trump that's turned into a clown show. Like OJ Simpson was, yeah. You were watching Dateline last night and they talked about OJ and they were saying that Nicole was 18 when they met and OJ was 29. Listen, I don't believe that to be the case, but it's on Netflix. If you have Netflix, it's on Netflix, or you can get on ESPN Demand or ESPN Plus, I think somebody was saying, or you can get it on Amazon Prime, but you got to pay for it on Amazon Prime. Well, welcome to the live, Felicia. She said she finally made it to a live. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I agree that he knows who did it. I'm gonna have to watch it. Yeah, like I said, I always felt like he was in that he knew more, like because he was moving like somebody that I felt like somebody that was trying to cover something up. But again, we'll get into it. Let's just get to these notes. So part two, they sort of overlapped part two with his retirement, his last days in the NFL overlapping. They talk about Brentwood. He moved when he retired. He bought a home in Brentwood, and they talked about how elite of a neighborhood Brentwood was. They said how OJ was one of the few black people. I think they said it was 3 black people that actually lived in the neighborhood. All of them were celebrities. Like, all of them were like, they were celebrities. They weren't just like regular black business people that just had a lot of money. And once again, they brought up the fact that, pretty much rich white people accepted, black celebrities, and they didn't see color, right? They were just, he wasn't a black guy in the neighborhood. He was O.J. Simpson. Whatever, child. So they bring up so the majority of this of part 2 gets into a lot of the racial tension that was going on in LA at the time, like the 80s going into the 90s, which set the stage for why so many black people wanted to see OJ win. Even in the midst of knowing that OJ was never really like for the people. But anyway, so they start off telling us about a woman by the name of Eula Love. Eula Love was a single mom who had ran into some, financial issues, and the police showed up at her house over a utility bill. I still don't understand why the police went to this woman's house over a utility bill, but they did. The utility bill. Now, Maxine Waters, who was on the state level at the time, she said that it was a $20 utility bill. The police came back later and said it was a $80 or $90 utility bill. And again, in the 80s, a $90 utility bill, I guess, was significant, but it certainly should not have cost her life. It sounds like the police were there. She got upset for whatever reason. It escalated. She had a knife in her hand. And the police ended up shooting her 8 times on her front lawn in front of her children. Well, we're just getting started, little baby. We've only been started for eight minutes. So thank you, Miss Bay. Yes, hit that thumbs up for the algorithm. Thank you. Thank you very much. So that was one of the first, like in the 80s, like a blight on LAPD for excessive force, basically saying, hey, was all of that necessary? You know what I mean? Was all of that necessary? And we meet Chief Daryl Gates. Now, Daryl Gates, who we'll know later on when we get to the Rodney King piece of this, but Daryl Gates was the police chief who was not necessarily as blatantly racist as Chief Parker that we met in the first episode. However, he very much still had the he very much fostered a racially insensitive mindset in the LAPD. I always thought OJ did it. This is going to sound really bad, but I wasn't upset that he got away with it. I never thought he would do it again, and he didn't. Just me, again, I think that's where a lot of Black America was. Because again, and I've said this before, and I will keep saying it again, the O.J. Simpson trial was a referendum on America's criminal justice system, right? I will speak for myself, but I'll say we for the purpose of this conversation. Hey, Angela. Hey, boo. What we were happy about when OJ got away with it wasn't so much that the majority of us didn't think OJ did it or had a strong suspicion that he could have been guilty. The majority of us were like, this is finally white man's justice that works for the Black man. Like, we finally were able to see a Black man use their system against them, and they didn't like it. They were pissed, right? So we were finally able to see how we, as Black Americans, we saw somebody win, right? Rodney King had a lot to do why OJ. Yeah, we'll get there. Let me stick to my notes because I got a lot of notes to get through. I'll get to y'all know how I'll do. I'll come back to the comments. Now, Daryl Gates was credited with starting the SWAT program and starting DARE, D-A-R-E. You guys, if you grew up in the 80s and 90s, you knew the DARE program. It became a nationwide program, but it started in the LAPD, and it was like DARE. It was like something about drugs and alcohol, whatever. They talk about OJ, how in his post retirement life, him and Nicole, he was divorced by now. Him and Nicole were hot and heavy, and how he grew up in religion. His mom was very religious, and his mom wanted him to be very religious, and he went to church from time to time. However, he was never really active in church. They talked to civil rights activists from LA, and they said that basically they knew that OJ was a lost cause. Like, they tried to reach out to OJ, get him to get involved in civil rights issues in LA and in the area, and he just was never He just was never a part of it. He just never wanted to be a part of it. Now, I will say this. Thank you. Drug awareness, resistance, education. Thank you, Yana. Thank you. Hold on, y'all. I got my window open and I smelled something wafting in from outside. I was like, what I smell? And so one thing I'll say, like, not all civil rights activists were on the front lines, right? Not everybody showed up to picket. Not everybody showed up. But a lot of times you had people who would write a check. Bill Cosby was one of them. Bill Cosby was very clear. I ain't showing up. I ain't walking the picket line, but I'll cut a check. And Bill Cosby was very financially supportive of the civil rights movement in the 1960s and the 1970s. Now, you ain't going to find no footage of him walking arm in arm like with Harry Belafonte or Dick Gregory, right? You ain't gonna find that. But if you ask people from the movement, they'll tell you, well, Bill Cosby wrote checks. But it sounds like they didn't specifically say that O.J. Simpson wouldn't write a check, but it does not sound like that he did. So they spoke to that. His daughter died. She drowned in the family pool in Brentwood. He was not home at the time. However, his wife was home, Marguerite, this before they got divorced. And they said that he blamed her. And that pretty much was the final nail in the coffin of their marriage. Because here's the reality. There's clearly no secret that he was cheating on her and he was doing what he wanted to do. But it sounds like she accepted it. Now, they didn't really get into all the details of the divorce. They really did not share any of that information. OJ's daughter. OJ had a daughter who died when she was 23 months old, I think. I wrote 23 here, so I think that means 23 months old. Because I can't imagine why else I wrote 23. I think she was 23 months old. And she drowned in the family pool. And of course, it was an accident. It was tragic. And obviously, people don't get over losing a child. But he blamed her. And again, thank you, Latia. Thank you. She was 23 months old. Thank you. I wrote 23 and I figured that's what it was. But it sounds like that was the final nail in their coffin. It talks about how he wanted to play the lead character in the movie Ragtime. Now, Ragtime has my boy Howard Rollins in it, aka Chief Tibbs, Detective Tibbs from The Heat of the Night. The movie is a really good movie if you guys have never seen Ragtime, but it does deal with a black man who doesn't understand that he is black in the world that he lives in, and he constantly bucked authority, which ended up being his demise. It's been a long time since I've seen the movie, and I honestly did not know that O.J. Simpson wanted to play the lead. Arthur testified about her sister's death during the trial. Oh, wow. Okay. But it talked about how that was pretty much the first time he wanted a role that he did not get. And it showed a lot. It talked a lot about how he wanted that role, and because he felt like he could identify with this guy who just wanted to be seen as just, a regular person, and, didn't want to conform to the expectations on him because of his color and blah, 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 whatever. Then it talked about how he married Nicole. So he married Nicole. And again, they did not get into the years. They really didn't get into the amount of time, between the divorce and the marriage. And I ain't Google it because it's not that important. We know that he had been with Nicole long before he got divorced. So it doesn't really matter. It doesn't. So they talked about him living on Rockingham, which that address became so famous during the trial and everything else. They talked about how his house was like the party house. He loved having people over. He loved entertaining. Him and Nicole were great hosts. They always found reasons to have, parties and events and things over to the house. They said he flew his American flag every day at his Rockingham house. And it talked, now they kept going back to this black cop who we met him in the first episode where he played football and his brother had played football with OJ Simpson. So OJ knew who he was and had recognized him. And he talked about how he became a police officer in the police department that was in charge of Brentwood. And he was saying how it was such a great job because there's really not a whole lot of crime. There's really not a whole lot that goes on. And, you know, he was like, shoot, you know, I got a pretty cushy gig. And him and OJ became really close because, of course, he knew OJ through his brother or what have you. Or, and so he talked about how he would take, his partners past there and they were so impressed that, oh my gosh, OJ Simpson. And, they talked about how, OJ sort of became like a celebrity. He became a commentator. He carried the torch for the Olympics. Remember in 1984 when the Olympics were in LA, he carried the torch. He was inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame. So all of these things were happening at this time. He divorced Marguerite in 1979 and he married Nicole in 1985. Okay, so 6 years. 6 years. Okay, thank you, Tracy. They said that by the 1980s, he had become a very successful businessman where he has sort of transitioned from ex-athlete, to a formidable businessman. He owned part of Honey Baked Hams. He owned hotels, Ramada Inns. He owned multiple, they said he owned like 4 or 5 Ramada Inns, and he owned a percentage of Honey Baked Ham on top of the endorsements and Hertz and all that stuff. So he still was very much, and he was building his wealth. They talked about how he got into golf, and he was the first Black man that was admitted into a Scola golf country club, and he played at multiple, very elite country clubs where generally he was the only Black guy there. Again, y'all know he loved that. He loved it. He loved it. Bill Gates, not Bill Gates, Daryl Gates. At the same time, they were talking about Daryl Gates being the police chief and how they talked about the chokehold being something that was taken out of LAPD protection. Out of the policy. They were no longer allowed to do the chokehold after, lawsuits and stuff. And Daryl Gates was quoted as saying, there's nothing wrong with the chokehold. It's just that Black people respond differently, which is why, more Black people than other people die, I guess, as a result of the chokehold, because they respond differently. Not quite sure what that means. Then they talked about, he also made a comment about why Hispanic police officers weren't getting promoted as fast as white officers on the LAPD. And his response was, that's because they're lazy. Now, this is the police chief. And these are quotes. Like, this isn't something somebody like found that these are direct quotes of things that he said that were public. Like, nobody was hiding this. Like, he publicly said these things. He also made a comment about instead of calling the police cars Black and whites, they called them Black and normals. Hey, Lolisa. Hey, Kenya. Hey, Leo. Hey, boo. I'm always happy to see you, Leo. You drop down more often, sir. Okay. Just me, it was a sad photo. Howard Rollins was a troubled soul, and I really wish that he had lived in a different time, because I feel like a lot of what we saw from him was him not being able to live his truth. He did have a drug addiction, but I think his drug addiction was a direct connection to him not being happy and being able to be who he was and live in his skin. But he was such a great actor. He was such a great talent, and I just hate it. I really, really hate it. The one thing I will, even though Carol O'Connor is most famous for playing, it's most famous for playing like probably one of the biggest racists ever known to mankind. He was so not that in real life. Like, you heard nothing but good things about Carol O'Connor, and the way he treated Howard Rollins is one of the best stories. You know, how he put him through rehab and he kept his job for him. He wouldn't let the network fire him until finally it just was, he really couldn't do anything more. But he even found a way to bring Howard Rollins back on the heat of the night after they had to write his character off. And so when I think about people, when I think about, Carol O'Connor as a person, he just was a really, really good guy from all accounts. His son dealt with drug addiction. And so I think maybe that made him a little more, Gene Anthony Ray was another troubled soul. He was another troubled soul who, again, great talent, great talent. Drug addiction, and then we can't forget that it was the 80s. Like, drugs were just like so acceptable, But anyway, okay, let's get back to OJ, child. Let's get back to OJ. Me too, Corey. I watch the Heat of the Night every day too. Well, I record it every day. I got it in my DVR, but I watch it as often as I can. Y'all know I love the Heat of the Night. Anyway, so then they started talking about Operation Hammer out in LA, where they were cracking down on the gangs. You guys may have seen footage of Daryl Gates with his tank. He literally had a tank where he would bust down people's doors. And they talked about an incident that happened on 39th and Dalton, and they just called it 39th and Dalton. Like, I love me some Bubba with his crazy stuff. Anyway, I'm sorry. Okay. If you lived in LA, during that time, if you say 39th and Dalton, this is just automatically something that comes up, right? August the 1st of 1988, the police issued a search warrant on a house at 39th and Dalton. It was a house that had like apartment units in it, and they literally tore that house up. They were supposed to be looking for drugs, but they literally, like, they broke every mirror in the house. They put slits in all of the furniture. They broke the beds. They busted up the dressers. They literally tore the house up, and they showed the footage of it. And, again, it makes you angry when you think that this, and they did find some drugs. I think they said they found like some weed, and they found like a couple, like 6 crack rocks. So clearly it was not a drug den. Clearly it was not a stash house. Clearly this wasn't a place where, drug dealers were holding the stash. They didn't say anything about finding money. Sounds like maybe somebody who was living there probably, was doing drugs, was smoking some weed, smoking some crack. And they just talked about how, you would never go into a white neighborhood and issue a search warrant like that, and just tear people's, like, with no regard to anything. So that was, again, we had Eula, now we have 39th and Dalton. Then we go back to OJ, and they talk about OJ playing golf, and they tell the story about how OJ used to cheat at golf, and how he was he wasn't a great golf player, but they would allow him to cheat. Like, they let him get away with cheating. And they were saying how they just laughed about it. Like, they said it got so bad, because like he would hit his ball into the woods, and then miraculously the ball would be literally sitting on a tee. They said he would keep balls in his pocket so that when he lost the ball, he could just kind of pretend like he found it. They said his cheating got so bad that they would literally hire a caddy just to follow him around. What was a white neighborhood? What was a white neighborhood? The Boulder. Yeah. So, and one of the guys was saying how it really wasn't funny. Like, the one thing about golf is your integrity, because you do, you do hit the balls go into the woods and things like that. And so they were like, it really wasn't funny. But here again is another example of people just letting OJ get away with stuff because he's OJ, right? They stroked his ego to and fro. They sure did. They sure did. They said he just couldn't stand losing. Okay. So then we started learning more about Nicole and OJ's lifestyle. They said they lived a very lavish lifestyle. The money was good, the money was flowing. They lived that lifestyle. You saw them; they were always put together. They had the nice cars and the clothes, and they did all of the things that are connected with that celebrity lifestyle. But they said that OJ was a notorious womanizer, and that Nicole knew. Nicole knew about his cheating, and he didn't even try to hide it. Like, literally, they said Nicole would be watching him on TV at different events and would see women with him that he clearly was doing more with than just, happened to be standing next to when the picture when the camera took a picture. One affair in particular with a woman named, did I write her name down? I didn't write her name down. But one affair in particular, he actually blamed on Nicole because he had an affair with this woman when Nicole got pregnant, and he told her that she got too fat. And that's why he was forced to go sleep with another woman, because she had gotten too fat when she got pregnant. So January 1st of 1989, Tawny, yes, thank you, Latif, thank y'all. Yes, I didn't write her name down, but that is her, Tawny Katane. That's her name. That was her name. Thank you. So January 1st of 1989, New Year's Eve. Well, from going into January 1st, that night, there was a 911 call where Nicole, right, that's how she got him too, right? Where Nicole called 911. They played the 911 call. You could hear her on the phone talking about, somebody please come. He's going to kill me. He's going to kill me. Please get here. The police shows up. The police officer said, that Nicole, as soon as he pulled up, of course it was a gate. He couldn't get on the property, but she literally came running out in her bra and in some sweatpants, and she was screaming, "He's going to kill me. He's going to kill me. Please help." He said that as soon as the gate opened, she came running and like hugged on him and was like, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." And then OJ Simpson came running up. Came walking out and, put on his OJ Simpson charm. "Oh man, we were just having an argument. Everything is okay. Everything is cool." But the police officer said that he literally could see the bruises already on her face. Her face was already swelling up. And he was like, "Yeah, no, I'm sorry. You're going to need to come with me. You're under arrest." Now, what he said is, once the police tell you you're under arrest, you are under arrest. So OJ was like, "Okay, well, can I go put my clothes on?" Because he was in his pajamas or whatever. "Can I go put my clothes on? Can I go, and literally OJ went in the house, and next thing you know, OJ is coming out of the driveway in his Bentley, and he ran from the police. And the police officer was like, "I couldn't catch him. He caught me off guard. I was standing there with, a half naked woman. I couldn't catch him, but I knew who he was." So he said later on that night, when he went back to the police station, he filed his report. He said in his career of police, he absolutely never took a copy of a police report home. He said that is the only copy of a police report that he has, because he took it home, because what he found out was that was the 8th time that a police officer had been called to the house for a domestic dispute, yet OJ Simpson had never been charged. He had never been arrested. There was never a record. So he knew something here. This man is getting, and because Nicole told him, Nicole was like, you guys have been here 8 times before. Like, this isn't the first time y'all been here, but y'all always let him get away. Y'all always let him talk his way out of it. So what he found out was, and what he said was, I'm jumping ahead, but I want to finish this thought so I won't forget. What he said, come to find out, y'all know, what he said was, had those other 8 police officers filed a report and he had been charged, then by that particular night, it would have automatically been a felony because of the paperwork and the paper trail. It would have been a felony. And he said maybe things would be different as far as Nicole was concerned today, because he may have gone to jail that last time. So, hold on, what next? Oh, yeah. So the next day, the black cop, that's the reason why I brought him up. The black cop said that OJ called, that he was at the USC game. It was the Rose Bowl, New Year's Day, and he was at the game, and one of OJ's friends came up to him at the game and was like, yo, OJ got into a little bit of trouble. He wants you to give him a call. Mind you, OJ had ran from the police, so nobody knew where OJ was. He had left that night in his Bentley. Ain't nobody know where he went. So he said, OJ wants you to give him a call. He said, some things happened last night. Him and Nicole were fighting, and Nicole came after him, and he was just defending himself, but it just got blown out of proportion. And, he kind of feels like that he's on the run now, and he's, he needs you to give him a call. And so the guy was like, oh, well, yeah, he said, based on the story that the friend told him, he was thinking, okay, let me go get it straight. Let me go figure out what's going on. Let me go help. Basically, let me go help him out. He said, but once he went down to the police station and he read the report and he saw the pictures, he was like, oh, hell no. He said, and then he saw Nicole, because Nicole actually was at the police station, and Nicole was like, yeah, like, this isn't the first time, because he knew Nicole too. And he said, Nicole was like, like, I've called before and you guys always cover up for him, blah, blah, blah. And he said, that's when I realized, oh, he's just a wife beater. Like, this is who he is. Now, he did say that he stayed friends with OJ after that, but I ain't gonna go there. I'm gonna let you tell your story, sir. I'm gonna let you tell your story. But neither here nor there. We all know now, the reason why I say, as somebody who remembers this in real time, I remember this coming up because he ended up pleading no contest. He only had to do community service. And then he went on this whole, publicity, to make it seem like, oh, we were just a married couple that had a really bad argument. It just was this, things just got out of control. And that was the narrative that was out there for the people who were defending OJ. That was the narrative. When that story came out that he pled no contest, the story was, well, it was just that one time and they had a really bad argument and things just got out of control. But when we come to find out that it was deeper than that, right? But that was the story that they were being told. Now, what was interesting was he got community service. Y'all want to know what his community service was? Y'all want to know what he did with his community service? He threw a celebrity golf tournament. That was because of his community service. That he threw a celebrity golf tournament. Right. That was Leo, that was a later 911 call. We're gonna get to that one. But yeah, there was another 911 call when Nicole called the police, and she was like, the police were like, well, who is it? And she was like, OJ Simpson. I think you know his record. Like, y'all know who I'm talking about, They talked about how, and this goes back to maybe some possible trauma with growing up with his father who was gay, that Nicole had gay friends. And remember Ron Goldman, Ron Goldman was gay. So keep that in your back pocket. But they said that OJ Simpson got very angry when he saw his kids around her gay friends. Like that sparked some really bad arguments. As it related to, there was one really bad argument they had that she said that he physically assaulted her when one of his gay friends kissed their son on the cheek. And again, you know how you pick up a baby and you're like, oh, and you kiss the baby on the cheek, whatever. Like it literally was that. It wasn't anything more nefarious than that. And literally OJ got mad about it. And later on that night, they got into a physical altercation where he assaulted her. She actually talked to one of his friends about that and was like, listen, you know, OJ's dad is gay. Do you think that is part of why he gets so angry? Do you think that's why he hates women so much? Because of, you know, his dad. And, you know, of course, we didn't use the words trauma and stuff like that. Yeah, y'all didn't know Ron Goldman was gay? Yeah, Ron Goldman was gay. Yes. And she actually talked about the fact that she felt like that he beat her because of that. Now, even though there weren't other police reports, she had pictures. So the friend of his actually saw her pictures from the other assaults where nobody filed a police report, where nobody did anything, where they had, they actually had pictures. Y'all didn't know Ron Goldman was gay? Yes. That's what they thought. They thought that he was messing with Nicole, but no, Ron Goldman was gay. But that was one of the things that was out there. But his dad talked about that. She had pictures, got special treatment. Okay. Then we get into Rodney King. His family said he had a girlfriend though. Ron Goldman was gay. Y'all never heard? Am I tripping? Okay, somebody Google it. I could have sworn that Ron Goldman was gay. Somebody Google it, please. Okay, Leo saying he was gay. Leo knew. Somebody Google it for me, please. I don't want to lie on nobody. So somebody Google it for me, please. I'm almost certain that Ron Goldman was gay. That's what I'm saying. Somebody Google it. Leo said he was very gay. Somebody Google it. If I'm wrong, I will apologize to the legacy of that man. I don't want to lie on nobody. Okay. I'm not gonna lie on nobody. Okay, y'all keep saying y'all didn't know. Hold on, let me Google it myself. Hold on. Because I don't want to lie on nobody now. I do not want to lie on no people. Hold on. I do not want to lie on the people. Okay, hold on. Let me read what I read. What I found. Hold on. Let me see. Oh, that's the wrong Ron Goldman. Hold on, y'all. Let me read. Give me a second. Because I don't want to lie on this man. Okay. I remember reading that. I'm looking at this article right here. It says that they were good friends, but they weren't dating. They hung out a lot together, but they weren't dating. I don't see anything that says whether he is. I see a Reddit article where people are asking about. So the rumor was out there. Now, whether it's true or not, but the rumor was out there. Let me see. Ron Goldman. Yeah, I just see the articles here. But I listen, y'all. I heard that somewhere. Now, let me not put it on that man, but I heard that the man was gay. Okay, I heard that man was gay. All right, I'm gonna get back to my notes. I don't see it. I don't see anything that says he was, but I don't see anything that says he wasn't either. But I'm almost certain I heard that. But again, we heard a lot of stuff when all that thing was going on. I didn't realize I was telling y'all something y'all didn't know. Y'all never even heard the rumor? I'm the only one that heard the rumor. I mean, Leo the only one that's heard it? Huh, okay. Yeah, a lot of people. The only thing I'm finding is that people are saying that they definitely were not dating. Yeah, they said that they were not dating. They were good friends. They hung out together a lot, but they were not dating. That's the only thing I can find. Okay. Well, let me take that back. I don't want to. Okay, Tawana heard it too. Okay. Okay, Sleepless in New York. Okay, thank you. Now I'm starting to see that more people, at least I'm not crazy. All right. I don't know if it's true, but at least I know I wasn't the only one that heard it. Okay, it's a few other people that heard it too. All right, let me get back to the notes. I'm going to leave that where it is, but I could have, like I said, that's what I had heard. But I'm going to leave that where it is. I'm going to leave that where it is. Okay, let's get back to the notes. Okay, we still got a little ways to go, y'all. We still got a couple of pages to go, so let me get back to the notes. All right. Okay. Yeah, maybe that's what it was, Felicia. Sniff, sniff, buddy. Okay. Nicole's friends were right. They were definitive that the two of them were not in a relationship. Okay. No, OJ didn't know either. Again, they hung out a lot together. People thought they were sleeping together. So, I mean, it wasn't crazy for OJ to think it. We're going to get to Miss Nicole in a minute. Hold on. We're going to get to her in a minute. Hold on. So then we have Rodney King. Again, you guys, if you were alive when that would be in today's world viral. That videotape dropped of Rodney King being surrounded by those police officers getting his ass beat for, I want to say that video was like 14 minutes long. It went viral, like it was worldwide, and it put the LAPD on the front page of every news outlet. The Department of Justice came in and did an investigation where and 4 men were eventually charged. 4 men were eventually charged. Now, 13 days after the Rodney King videotape dropped, we had the incident with Latasha Hollins, which we talked about last week. Latasha Hollins was a young girl. She was a teenager. I think she was 14 or 15 years old. She was in a little local, corner store that was owned by an Asian family. There was an argument between her and the woman by the name of Soon Jadu. There was an argument, and They had a little scuffle over some orange juice. And as the girl, as I don't want to call her the girl, as Letitia was walking out of the store, Sung Ju shot her in the back of the head. Again, you can see it on video. So if you watch part 2, trigger warning, they show the Rodney King incident, and they show, because it was on video. It was very grainy, but it was very clear what happened. Sung Ju was convicted of unaliving this young lady. However, the judge her name, the judge gave her a 5-year probation and community service rather than jail time. Now, the woman's name is a white lady, and her name was Judge Carlin. Judge Carlin. So she was convicted. I think it's a misnomer that's out there that she wasn't convicted. She was convicted. But the judge chose to not give her jail time and only gave her a 5-year probation and community service. There was a protest at the courthouse where they stormed the courthouse. They tore up the metal detectors and stuff like that because people were angry over the disrespect to Black life. We had Rodney King, and then 13 days later, we have this incident, and then the woman ends up getting convicted. The jury convicted her, but the judge decided, well, she shouldn't have to do jail time. And my intention was to Google her and find out what happened to Judge Carlin, but I never did. While this was going on, O.J. Simpson was out trying to save his reputation. He was downplaying the incident with Nicole. He was worried about his corporate relationships. He was worried about being dropped from his endorsement deals and things like that, which never did happen. He was able to go out there and do his OJ thing. He did interviews and things of that nature. And Nicole even, they said Nicole was afraid to leave him because he took care of Nicole's family. He was, not only did he keep Nicole living good, but he took care of Nicole's family. And Nicole even told her friends that if she did decide to leave OJ, she thought her family would side with him over her. She had a fear that her family would not even support her in the divorce. So they got back together. They worked, quote unquote, worked things out. He convinced her to stay with him. And again, he was convicted of 120 hours of community service, and he pled no contest. So he didn't plead guilty. He pled no contest. On April the 29th of 1992, the 4 officers that beat Rodney King were acquitted. And I was in school. I was in high school. And I came home from school and I said, when I got home from school, it was on the news. And I looked at my mother and I said, they're going to riot. Like I said, they're going to riot. And that's exactly what happened. We know what ended up happening. There was absolutely a riot. And the documentary goes into details about a lot of the other, a lot of the outside things that happened and what was going on in the community and stuff. But the riots happened, and the police response to the initial riots were basically just let them be mad, let them blow off their steam. They'll calm down. Like Daryl, I keep wanting to say Bill Gates. Daryl Gates was literally campaigning. He was at a private residence somewhere campaigning, and he wasn't even available. Again, this is before the days of, everybody had a cell phone on their hip. They could not get in contact with Daryl Gates to say, what should we do? And when Denny, Reginald Denny, we know the infamous video. Hey, St. James. Hey, boo. We know the infamous video of Reginald Denny getting pulled out of his 18-wheeler and being beaten in the middle of the intersection. Literally, there were police officers 2 blocks away, but they were told to stand down. They were told, do not go down there. And they actually interviewed police officers who were there at that time. And they were like, we were pissed because we were like we literally could have stopped that. Like, we could have stopped the riot before it got to that point. But for those of us who understood that as long as they were in the Black neighborhood, there was no sense of urgency. They didn't care. The minute they, and for people who lived in LA, tell me if I'm wrong, but the minute they started moving out of the Black neighborhood, it started marching towards the more affluent neighborhoods. Then all of a sudden, here come the police. But we know that the riots happened. Nicole's father ran a Hertz dealership because of OJ. Yeah. They actually pulled the police out of the neighborhood. So on November the 25th of 1993, that's the 911 call you were talking about, Leo, when Nicole called OJ because Nicole had actually moved out of the house. They'd had more arguments, and she actually did move out. She told told OJ she just needed her space while they worked out things, while they went to therapy. Then she got her own a house. That's the house that eventually she was unalived in front of. She called 911 on November the 25th of 1993, but she's telling them that OJ he bust down the door. He's breaking in the house. And that's when you hear her on the phone saying, y'all know who he is. Like, y'all know his record. OJ Simpson. Y'all know who the hell it is. I'm Nicole, and y'all know OJ. Nicole actually filed for divorce after that incident. She filed for divorce. She started dating a man by the name of Keith. Wow. She held numerous offices after that. That's crazy. We're gonna get back to Keith. But she started dating Keith. Like, she was moving on with her life. She had filed for divorce. She was moving on with life. And they said OJ had a girlfriend. Like, he was doing his thing too. But he wouldn't leave Nicole alone. So then they go back to 1978. So here's the thing. And here's something else that I think was not played up enough, at least from my recollection. Nicole's journal, her diary. They show actual pages from her diary that started in the first time OJ beat her was 1979. That was the first beating, according to her journal. In her journal, there were incidents of him beating her multiple times, her having to go to the hospital, him sexually assaulting her. There was one where she said he was beating her while he was sexually assaulting her. And the thing about diaries are not something you just wake up one day and you duplicate years and years and years of diaries. So if this was in the 1990s and she had diary entries from the 1970s, this is not something she just woke up one day and just duplicated, right? This, you got to put some validity in that. You've got to give some validity to the fact that they found diaries that went back years that chronicled these incidents. There was an incident in Hawaii. That was the one I told you guys about, where one of Nicole's friends who was gay had kissed his son, and he was upset about it. They got into a fight, and there was a beating there. I believe she was hospitalized after that one. So after she filed for divorce, and she was out, she was living her life. She was doing her thing. They said that he was stalking her. He would follow her. He would get her friends to keep tabs on her and tell him where she was. I'm sure he was giving them money. Now he would get her friends to basically tell OJ where they were going, who they were going to be with, who she was seeing, who she was spending time with. And they said he was obsessive, he was angry, he was jealous, all of the above. Her friend Keith, or at the time, her boyfriend at the time, he told the story of one night they were at a club. They were at the Roxbury. If you guys remember Night at the Roxbury, it was a big SNL skit from the 80s. They were at the Roxbury at a club, dancing, having a good time. And OJ was there. And he said that, Nicole came up to him and was like, OJ's here. And he was like, oh, great. Because he talked about how OJ even approached him one time and basically got in his face and was like, she's still my wife. You might be, you might be messing with her, but she's still my wife. So he was like, oh, great. OJ's here. She was like, let's leave. And he was like, great, let's go. So they went back to her house. He said, they got it in. They got it in. And the next morning, OJ showed up banging on the back door, banging on her back, like patio door. And they ended up having an argument. OJ left. And she said when OJ left, Nicole told him he watched us. Because he said they had sex in the living room. And she said he saw us. He watched us last night. I was like, yeah, this mofo was crazy. This mofo was crazy. And he said, obviously, after that, pretty much everything changed. Like, their relationship kind of fizzled after that. Because, I mean, what do you do with that? Like, what do you do with that? We almost done. This is the last page of notes. Now, here's where things got a little interesting with Miss Nicole. Now, Marcus Allen, for those who don't know who Marcus Allen is, Marcus Allen was a big USC player who became a big running back in the NFL. He was sort of like, the second coming of OJ, and him and OJ became really good friends. And he was sort of a mentor to OJ. He was sort of like a big brother, father figure type to Marcus. And Marcus and his wife actually used to double date with Nicole and OJ and all of that stuff. Where allegedly Nicole and Marcus started doing the do. Allegedly, they started hooking up, which is what really sent OJ over the edge. I mean, it really sent OJ over the edge when he found out that the two of them was getting it in. Now, everybody said it happened except for Marcus. Marcus Allen said that it never happened. I never slept with her. But everybody else said it was true. And even Nicole sort of admitted it in the 911, the next 911 call that we're going to talk about. She sort of admitted that it happened. She didn't come right out and say it. I'm going to get to that in a second. But Marcus was like, that never happened. I never had no sexual relationship with Nicole. We were friends. But all of OJ's friends said it was true. Of course, OJ believed it to be true. And let's be clear, whether it was true or not, OJ believed it. So it didn't matter whether it was really true or not. He believed it in his mind. He had made up his mind that it was true. You see what I'm saying? Marcus Allen's ex-wife said it was true too. Listen, everybody said it was true except for Marcus. So there was another 911 call on October the 25th of 1993 where he broke into the house. And you can hear Nicole on the phone talking to 911. And you can hear him in the background yelling. Like you could hear him just yelling at the top of his lungs. And the 911 officer is like, just keeping her on the call. They got to keep you on the call while the police are on the way. And the 911 officer said, well, do you know why he's angry? Do you know what set him off? And she said, something that happened in the past. But he keeps bringing it up. So I'm like, are they alluding to him sleeping with Marcus? Her sleeping with Marcus? Now, she never said she did, but Oh, he was still married when he testified? Oh, okay, just me. So she said, of course, Marcus denied it because he was still married. Well, like I said, everybody said it was true except for him. So, in 1994, she said it was officially over. I have May 25th. Something happened on May the 25th. I wrote May 25th, and then I wrote, maybe it was May 25th of 1994, that she officially told her friends that it was over, and she was done for real, for real. Like, that was it. It was it. It was a wrap. She was done for good. Like, went through with the divorce. She was done. And they said that is when he really, really, really spiraled. That his friend said when Nicole left for good, that is when he really spiraled, and that he was changed. Like he was a changed man. Like he was just a different guy. They said that after she filed for divorce and was like, I'm gone for real, she started messing around with Marcus Allen again. And that OJ straight up told her, if you mess with him again, I will kill you. Okay, I wrote now on the 911 call. That's all I wrote. Is that where the episode ended? Well, that's the last of my notes. I guess that was where the episode ended, child. That was the last of my notes. If you listen to that 911 call, she says the kids, OJ, and he said back, you didn't care about the kids when you was fucking that guy. Okay, yeah. Yeah, you can hear him. I mean, like you couldn't really make out everything he was saying, but yeah, you could hear him in the background. And he was clearly, was Marcus Allen's ex-wife on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills? Oh, I don't remember. I have not seen every season of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, so she may have been on a season I didn't watch. I don't know. But she hasn't been on recently because I've watched the last 4 seasons, and I watched the first 2, so she may have been on somewhere in between. Nicole was lying. Marcus had just gotten married not that long before. Nicole was lying about what? Because they never said Nicole said one way or the other. They said I'm saying Marcus is the one that said it didn't happen. She was on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Okay, yeah. I have not seen every single season. The immorally corrupt Faye Resnick said Nicole said Marcus was double. Oh Lord. Okay. Anyway, I don't care about that. So that was the end of episode 2. And like I said, episode 2 is very heavy. So episode 3 is going to get into the actual, the actual incident and what led up to that. And then I think episode 4 is like the trial and all of that. So and I'm not going to watch it tonight. I'm telling you now, I'm not going to watch part 3 tonight. So there will be no review tomorrow, but we'll do part 3 at some point over the weekend. I just need a break. Last night was heavy for me. It was, again, I gave you guys like the racial stuff got really deep. And it was really hard to watch. And really hard to kind of go through some of that stuff. When they were getting into the racial things and the riots and Rodney King and Letitia. And so I'm not going to watch part 3 tonight. I'm telling you now. So we'll do it this weekend. If you turn on caption on the TV, it says everything he's yelling. Oh, okay. I thought, you know what? I might not have been looking at the screen because I was multitasking. I was watching it, but I was doing something on the computer last night. So I probably wasn't watching the screen. But I may have to go back and look at the screen. Yeah. But again, I believe she was sleeping with Marcus because everybody said it except for him. I believe that they were messing around. And again, I'm not giving OJ nothing because OJ is an ass and he had been cheating on her damn near. Well, hell, they started off as an affair. So what did you expect? So I'm not saying that I feel bad for OJ that, but I could understand him being a little upset by that. I mean, not to the point of beating her ass. I mean, I'm not defending that at all, but I could definitely understand him being a little upset. A person that you mentored, a person that you looked at as like a little brother or maybe even a son, sleeping with your wife. But I can't really have no sympathy because you was beating her and treating her like shit. So it's just weird. Like, yeah. All right, you guys. Please hit the like button on your way out the door. Thank you guys for any donations. Again, they're not required, but they are appreciated. Did he do that with his first wife? See, that's what I would love for her to tell her story. But as far as I know, Marjorie has never spoken on anything, to my knowledge. I mean, I would have to go look. Again, a lot of that stuff was so long ago, and I didn't follow it like that. But to my knowledge, his wife, I know his wife has never, well, I shouldn't say I know. I don't remember I don't remember his wife ever speaking on the intimate details of their relationship to that extent. I don't remember it. Yeah, I don't remember that. Yeah. To my knowledge, his mother, she did once, but it was very softball. Yeah. To my knowledge, she really didn't get into the details. Do I think that he put his hands on her? I wouldn't be shocked if he had, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm just say I don't know. Okay, Lil Baby said yes. The first wife dealt with DV. Okay, well, there it is. I have not done any research, so I don't know. I'm not. I wouldn't be shocked to find out. I wouldn't be shocked to find out that it was. You know what I'm saying? Like most people don't change their spots. You know, most people don't change their spots. So it was at the very beginning of the case. Probably not like he did Nicole. Yeah, but we know he didn't respect her. I mean, we know he cheated on her and, you know, all of that stuff. But then again, like I said, you know, so. Yeah. I might see if I can find an article or something, but I just don't remember her. Even during the trial, from my understanding, she supported him during the trial. If I remember correctly. She supported him during the trial. But I don't know. I don't remember, and I didn't do any research. I almost feel like I'm going to go back and look because, you know, so much stuff was said that wasn't necessarily true. I have to go back and I don't want to say stuff that's not that didn't happen. But I thought, and I don't know if that's true, I thought that when he was putting stuff in other people's names, I thought she was one of the people that he was putting stuff in his ex-wife's name. But I don't know that to be true. I know he put stuff in his kids' names. But I thought they said that his ex-wife, he put stuff in his ex-wife's name. But I don't know that to be true. So she was there. I thought she supported him. OJ felt he bought Nicole so he could set her. Yeah, they spoke to that in the documentary that, you know, he told her how to wear her hair. He told her how to dress. He told her, you know, what to wear when they were going places. Like, yeah, he definitely treated her like his possession. I heard OJ was supposed to go to court for abusing his first wife, but right before it was supposed to happen, the case was dropped. I anything that I remember about her would be from 15 years ago. So I honestly don't remember. Yeah. But I thought I heard that. I thought that I had heard that he put stuff in her name, but I don't know that to be true. Like I said, you heard so many things that may or may not have happened. Yeah. I may look it up. I'll see if I can find something on Marguerite. But I do not. But again, I know that there's no bombshell interview because that would be everywhere. That would have been in a documentary. Like that would have been everywhere. If she had ever come right out and just said, yes, these things happened to me. If she had given an interview, like I don't remember. And again, I haven't watched all 4 episodes yet. So maybe something came up in the other episodes, but I don't remember that. I don't remember her ever really speaking. But we'll finish watching it. Like I said, it won't be tomorrow, but we'll finish. He was an abusive narcissist. He felt entitled. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, you guys, let me get ready to get out of here. I will talk to you guys later. You guys have a happy Friday. Do not forget that tomorrow we are going to be watching that new show, Never Ever Met. I believe that's the name of it. It's Never Ever Met. It's coming on at 8 o'clock tomorrow. Meet me with Shade in the City. I will be on the other channel. I won't be streaming on both channels because we're going to already be streaming on Shade in the City's channel. So we'll be on my other channel and Shade in the City's channel. And we're going to be discussing this new show, child. We're going to see how it all plays out, honey. Okay? All right, you guys. I will talk to y'all later. Mwah! Y'all have a good evening. Peace.